All right, everybody, today we're looking at the Canon Rebel T3i. This is a fantastic little camera. It's the successor to the T2i, which is probably one of the most successful Rebel cameras ever. It was the first one to do full 1080p video, and this one just kicked it up a notch with a very nice articulating 3-inch display that the T2i didn't have, and a couple extra nice features. But let me tell you, this camera is fantastic. For the money that you're spending on the camera, especially the camera, the lens is a kit lens. It's an 18-55 IS. Pretty good. It's going to get you by if you're getting your first DSLR, but the camera itself, the body, is absolutely fantastic. The video that this thing takes looks like it's straight out of a movie, and with some simple educating yourself and learning how to use certain settings and setting it up a certain way, you can actually get quality out of here that is, it looks like it should be on the big screen. So if you want to be an indie filmmaker, if you want to do some documentary work, if you want to make a short film, any of the kind of stuff like that, this is the camera that you want to get because it's affordable, it's going to get you started, it's simple to use, and of course it's going to use all the lenses that Canon makes. So you have a full lineup of lenses, and there's nowadays a whole bunch of equipment that lets you use this more like a video camera than a still camera. Of course, it still takes amazing stills, but it also takes great video. So let's talk a little bit about the camera. If you take a look at it, it still has kind of the Rebel dial knob here. So there are a bunch of normal settings like your normal AV and your TV, your program, your manual, but you also have a full automatic mode as well as a creative automatic and then all the scene modes. So at first you may use some of these scene modes in the automatic, but you're going to really see your pictures take off when you start using manual and some of your AV and PV features. Now, really simple, I'll go over a quick, kind of overview of everything. Your on and off buttons right here, your mode dial button is there, display and ISO buttons. To pick your focus points is right here. You can also use this button right here, which is a little asterisk. This is your auto exposure and as well as focus exposure lock. This brings it into live view mode, and then you push it again and you're shooting video. AV button, because unlike the pro cameras that have two knobs, one for your aperture and one for your shutter speed, this one you have to push this button to get your aperture to change. It's actually really nice. It helps stop people from getting confused, actually. It's really nice. The Q button, which is a programmable button, it also lets you go through all your menus. You have your buttons for adjusting your white balance, your shooting speed, which, by the way, is 3.7 frames per second when you're set to its highest, continuous high setting. You have your autofocus control settings, and then you have your picture styles. This is your playback button to look at your pictures. This is your trash. And then over here you have your menu and your info buttons. It's basically the majority of the buttons. You do have the flash button here. If you want to bring up your flash, you're going to go ahead and be pushing that button. I'll turn it on and show you. It does have a built-in flash, so you don't need to buy an external, which is nice. Looking over here at the front, in case you've never used one of these cameras, this button down here is your depth of field preview button. It'll actually stop you down so you can see how much depth of field you're going to have. This is your lens release button, so you can unlock it. Now, don't worry if some of the things I'm saying kind of don't make sense. You'll get them as you start using the camera. You do have a regular 1/4" 20 thread at the bottom, so you can put this on a tripod. And in case you're curious, I'll show you the battery so you can see what it looks like. It's not your standard battery. It is the LP-E8 from Canon. That is your battery. It is a 1120 milliampere hour battery, 7.2 volts. If you've never had a DSLR compared to a point-and-shoot camera or a compact camera, these batteries will go for days without changing. So you really won't have a problem, using the battery camera constantly. Take it on vacation, have 1 or 2 charges, and you'll be fine. And then also on this lens, you have a stabilizer. Now, what a stabilizer does is when you're using a low shutter speed, it'll actually still get you a crisp image. It'll give you about 2 stops of leeway, and that'll let you get kind of, you're shaking the camera, you're going to get a blurry image, it's going to help you stabilize that. You can also switch it over to manual focus. Now, the other thing that's important to note on this is that it takes SD cards, so it's using your more standard media. It's not using compact flash, which are more expensive and harder to buy. SD cards are common, everyone's got one. It takes SD HC, your standard SD, and it also takes SD XC, which are the newest ones. That's kind of a tongue twister. So there's HC, XC, and then your regular. The XCs are the latest and the greatest. They're very fast. They're very high capacities, and you're going to need that because this is an 18 megapixel CMOS sensor. So you can't see it in there, but right behind that mirror, there's a very large sensor. And 18 megapixels is going to produce a huge file, especially when you shoot in RAW. Again, if you don't know what RAW is and you don't know what kind of stuff I'm saying, you will learn as you use this, but most cameras shoot in JPEG. This one has the ability to shoot in RAW. That's going to give you a lot of latitude in post. So when you put this thing in your computer, you have a lot of great things you can do with it. Another thing that's really great about this, beyond the articulating screen for video, is the fact that it has manual audio controls. So one of the problems with taking videos on these before was that they have automatic gain control, and that's a big no-no. It makes your sound very noisy and very loud, especially when it's quiet. Now you have manual levels and you can adjust them independently. So when you're shooting full 1080p video, you kind of come over here, you plug in your microphone, actually over here, plug in your mic right there, and then you're good to go, and you can automatically control that level or manually control that level, which is actually much better. There are a bunch of companies that make really great accessories for these cameras to use them for video. You also have an AV out and HDMI over here. I might as well show you that. And also this top one right here, that is for a remote or an intervalometer, which can let you do time lapses and shoot the camera off a tripod without actually touching it so you don't make it shake. Very cool features. The last thing I will discuss with you is the full HD video on here. It does have several frame rates. You have 24, you have 50, you have 25, you have 60, you have all these frame rates. Now what's the difference? Well, 24p is what's going to give you your kind of cinema-like video quality. 30 is what you'd call video. It's what you're going to see on YouTube. It's what you're going to see with a regular little camera or your iPhone camera or whatever. That's the regular video you're going to get. 50 is actually, and 25 are from Europe. So if you actually go to Europe and you needed to get video off this camera and it needed to go into broadcast, like on television, which this camera does provide that type of quality, you can do it there as well. And then the best part is the 720p, 60 frames per second. 60 frames per second means that you can slow that 60 frames per second to 24 in post and get super slow motion, which is really, really cool. Now, all the stuff I just said doesn't really say anything about the camera. What it really says about this camera is pictures. So I'm actually going to go out now, and I'm going to take some pictures, and during the credits of this video, they'll be there, and you can see them. I'll take portraits of some of my staff members, you and you and you. We're going to take pictures of all these guys. So that's basically it, the T3i Rebel from Canon. If you have any questions on it, feel free to email me, and I'll see you guys next time. For more information on the Canon Rebel T3i with kit lens, type in C930-1874 into any major search engine.